In the quiet corners of Japan, where narrow streets twist between old houses and fading neon signs, there exists a legend that refuses to die. It is whispered in classrooms, retold in hushed tones, and passed down from older siblings to younger ones. This is the story of the slit-mouthed woman, a tale that has haunted generations. At first, it seems like nothing more than a ghost story, something to frighten children. But the deeper one looks, the more unsettling the legend becomes. Imagine walking home at dusk. The streets are nearly empty, the hum of cicadas filling the air. Suddenly, a figure appears ahead. A woman, dressed in a long coat, her face obscured by a surgical mask, the kind everyone wears without a second thought. She approaches slowly, her footsteps echoing softly against the pavement. When she reaches you, she tilts her head slightly, her voice muffled but clear enough to hear. She asks, almost politely, "Am I beautiful? What would you say?" If you answer yes, she pulls down the mask. Her mouth is no longer ordinary. It is torn from ear to ear, a grotesque smile carved into her skin. Her teeth glint in the dim light, and she asks again, "Even now?" If you answer no, or if your voice betrays hesitation, her anger is swift and merciless. The scissors in her hand flash in the dark, and the legend says, "You will not live to regret your choice." There is no safe answer, only fear. The origins of Kuchi Sakana, as she is called in Japanese, stretch back centuries. Some say she was once the wife of a samurai, punished for infidelity. Her husband, in a fit of jealous rage, slit her mouth from ear to ear, cursing her with beauty, forever defiled. Others whisper she was a victim of disease, a woman whose face was ravaged by smallpox or disfigurement, shunned by society. She returned as a vengeful spirit, determined to inflict her pain on anyone unlucky enough to cross her path. The story gained terrifying momentum during the late 1970s, when a series of reports spread across Japan. Children claimed they were followed by a masked woman wielding scissors. Panic swept through towns, schools shortened hours, and parents escorted their children. Newspapers fueled the fear, publishing sensational headlines. Police were overwhelmed by the flood of reports. Though no solid evidence was found, the legend of Kuchizakana transformed overnight from playground rumor to national hysteria. Folklorists argue this was more than just hysteria. They suggest the legend reflects deep cultural anxieties about beauty, punishment, and the price women pay for transgressing expectations. In every telling, Kuchizakana is both victim and monster. Yet, no matter the origin, the detail that chills most is her question. Simple, unavoidable, and devastating. Am I beautiful? It is not merely a trap, it forces us to confront our fear of appearances, of truth, of the cost of honesty. Stories spread quickly, traveling from town to town. Children whispered of seeing her near rivers, on lonely roads, or even outside their schools. Teachers noticed students refusing to leave classrooms alone, their fear too real to ignore. In some towns, parents armed their children with protective charms. Little bells, salt packets, and written prayers were tucked into school bags, folklore mixed with superstition, as communities desperately searched for a way to keep this slit-mouthed woman away. And yet, the legend adapted. Children whispered new survival tricks. Some said if you offered her candy, she would be distracted long enough for you to escape. Others claimed answering ambiguously, so would confuse her, buying precious seconds to run. Folklorists found this fascinating. Unlike ancient myths frozen in time, Kuchisakana evolved in real time, reshaped by each retelling. Every schoolyard added a new rule. Every child carried a new rumor. Fear gave the story life, keeping her alive. Reports emerged of sightings well into the 1980s. In Gifu Prefecture, Police logged multiple accounts of a strange woman matching her description. Though no physical proof surfaced, the consistency of the stories left investigators unsettled. Was it mass hysteria, or something more? Skeptics insisted it was a shared delusion, children feeding each other's imaginations. But believers pointed to the details: the mask, the scissors, the question that never changed. How could so many describe the same thing across so many towns? For some, the terror was too much to dismiss. Newspapers quietly advised parents to remain cautious. Schools continued early dismissals. And deep in the minds of countless children, the image of Kuchisakana was carved forever. By the 1990s, the legend had crossed borders. In South Korea, she appeared as a woman in a red mask, haunting alleys near schools. In China, whispers told of a masked woman wandering public parks, her voice faint but persistent. Each culture reshaped her, but the essence remained: a masked woman, a terrible smile, a question with no safe answer. She was no longer just Japan's ghost. She belonged to all of East Asia, her legend expanding like ripples across water. Modern times gave her new power. Masks, once unusual, became commonplace during flu seasons and pandemics. A masked figure on the street no longer drew suspicion. Anyone could be her. Anyone could ask the question, "Am I beautiful?" For children growing up in these times, the fear deepened. You could not tell who hid behind the mask. A stranger on the bus, a passerby on a quiet road, a teacher in the hallway. Any of them might be Kuchisakana. Urban legends thrive because they feel possible. They thrive because they feed on anxieties already inside us. And Kuchisakana is the perfect mirror for those fears. Fear of strangers, fear of hidden faces, fear of what lies beneath the mask. Some folklorists argue she is not merely a ghost, but a reflection of society's unease. She is the embodiment of distrust, of danger lurking in the ordinary. And perhaps that is why she refuses to fade, even in the digital age. Even today, people claim encounters. A commuter in Tokyo described a late-night platform where a masked woman stared at him, head tilted, before asking the question. He swore he saw her torn smile when she pulled the mask down. He told reporters he never took that route again. Skeptics dismissed him, but his story remained unnervingly consistent. He believed what he saw, and sometimes belief is more terrifying than proof. Belief can give legends flesh. If enough people believe in her, then perhaps Kuchisakana does not need to be real in the physical sense. She becomes real in experience, in perception, in fear. Every whisper, every frightened glance gives her form and strength. This is how urban legends survive, not through evidence, but through memory, through stories retold until they feel carved into reality. And with every retelling, the slit-mouthed woman sharpens her scissors and steps closer to our world. There is also a darker theory whispered among believers that Kuchisakana is not a spirit of the past, but a predator of the present. Anyone could wear a mask, a coat, and hold a pair of scissors. Anyone could become her. This is perhaps the most disturbing possibility, that she is not one entity at all, but many, a role passed from person to person, generation to generation. A living curse, kept alive not by death, but by imitation. In 2011, panic reignited when newspapers reported a masked woman chasing children with scissors. Police arrested her, labeling her mentally unstable. But for many, the resemblance was too precise. It was as if the legend had stepped into daylight. Was she a copycat inspired by folklore? Or was she somehow connected to the centuries-old spirit, carrying the curse into modern times? No one could answer. Parents again warned children to avoid walking home alone after dark. the internet carried the legend further. Online forums buzzed with speculation. Some argued she was a tulpa, a thought form born from fear itself. With each retelling, they said, she grew stronger, closer to stepping into the physical world. Others dismissed it all as hysteria, but even skeptics admitted the legend's persistence was extraordinary. Ghosts fade, monsters change, but Kuchisakana adapts. Every mask on every street corner is a reminder of her presence. Folklorists see in her a reflection of society's unease. In times of disease, she is infection. In times of war, she is violence. In the modern world, she is the hidden stranger, her mask concealing a smile you cannot trust. The detail that haunts most is not her weapon, nor even her mutilated face, but her question. A question with no safe answer. A question that lingers in the mind long after the encounter has ended. Am I beautiful? For those who hear it, survival depends on luck, on wit, or on the ability to run. But for many children who grew up in Japan in the late 1970s, there was no escape. She lived in their nightmares for decades. Even now, adults remember that fear vividly. They remember clutching their school bags tighter, scanning empty streets, listening for the echo of scissors in the dark. They laugh nervously about it today, but the terror they felt was real. And perhaps that is what gives her power still. Legends are not just told, they are felt. They leave scars invisible to the eye. And Kuchisakana, once seen, once heard, is never forgotten. She becomes a shadow at your shoulder. Children of a new generation continue the cycle. They share her story on playgrounds, online forums, and late-night conversations. They dare each other to walk alone, to see if she will appear. And sometimes, they claim, she does. Some say she lingers near rivers, her reflection fractured in the water. Others say she hides near deserted bus stops, waiting for a lone traveler. And a few insist they have seen her standing beneath flickering street lamps, mask glinting in the dark. No matter the setting, her presence is the same, a woman concealed. A terrible smile beneath the mask, and a question that holds your fate. A simple choice of words that could cost you everything. Am I beautiful? Perhaps you answer quickly, hoping to escape. Perhaps you hesitate, unsure. Either way, the legend says she already knows your fear. She feeds on it, grows stronger from it, and waits for the moment your courage fails. This is why the slit-mouthed woman endures when other legends fade. She does not remain trapped in the past. She walks with us, adapts with us, hides among us. And maybe, tonight, she is closer than you think. Folklore scholars note that urban legends survive because they evolve with their audiences. The slit-mouthed woman no longer belongs only to ancient Japan. She now exists in modern cities, in classrooms, on screens, adapting to the fears of each new generation. Children of the 2000s do not imagine deserted fields or misty shrines. They see her instead in train stations, in alleys lit by neon, or in crowded malls. She walks silently through the places they know, more terrifying because she belongs to their world. During the influenza seasons, when surgical masks became common, the fear only deepened. A masked woman on the street was no longer unusual, and so, every passerby became suspect. Every stranger, a potential Kuchisakana, waiting to whisper her dreadful question. For adults, it became a nervous laugh, a story told after drinks, a joke about masked commuters. But children always, the most vulnerable, saw no humor. To them, the world was filled with shadows, and the woman with the slit mouth could be anywhere. Some of the most chilling accounts come not from old folklore but from recent testimonies. A young office worker in Osaka recalled waiting alone at a bus stop late at night. A woman sat nearby, face hidden, head bowed, silent. Minutes passed before the woman spoke. Her voice was soft, muffled by the mask. "Am I beautiful?" The worker froze. He forced a weak laugh, answering yes. Slowly, painfully, the woman raised her head. Beneath the mask was a torn, impossible smile. The worker claimed he fled before she could ask again, running into the night without looking back. Skeptics argue he imagined it, a trick of exhaustion, but his trembling voice and sleepless eyes convinced many that he had truly seen her. The internet magnifies such stories. Forums collect sightings, some obvious hoaxes, others disturbingly convincing. Videos circulate of masked figures standing in alleys, watching, waiting. Grainy photos show shadows with wide, unnatural smiles. The boundary between folklore and reality blurs further each year. In South Korea, she is called the Red Mask. Children insist she appears after dusk, her presence announced by the sound of scissors. In China, whispers spread of her haunting lonely parks, moving silently between trees before whispering her fatal question. Every culture adds details, but the structure never changes. The mask, the question, the mutilated smile. This consistency fuels belief. She is too specific to dismiss, yet too adaptable to disappear, and in that tension, she thrives. Psychologists suggest that such legends reveal collective anxieties. A masked stranger reflects fear of hidden threats, of concealed intentions. Her torn mouth embodies the horror of deception, beauty masking violence, kindness hiding malice, the surface never matching what lies beneath. For children, the lesson is clear: do not trust appearances. For adults, the warning is more profound. The slit-mouthed woman forces us to confront how icily we lie, how often we conceal. In her, society sees both punishment and reflection. Still, the supernatural element refuses to vanish. Too many testimonies, too many accounts, too many whispers late at night. Rational explanations cannot erase the lingering unease when footsteps echo behind you in an empty street, steady and deliberate. There are stories of her in rural villages, where elders warn children not to wander alone. Farmers claim to see her near rice fields at dusk, standing unnaturally still, waiting, mask pale against the darkening sky. Always waiting, always watching. And there are tales from modern metropolises. A Tokyo taxi driver described picking up a woman late one night. She wore a mask, said nothing during the ride. When she finally spoke, she asked the dreaded question. He nearly crashed the car. When he looked in the mirror, her mask was gone. The torn mouth stretched across her face. In terror, he slammed the brakes. But in that instant, she was no longer in the car. The back seat was empty. He drove away, trembling. Skeptics argue such stories are illusions, born from exhaustion, shadows, and fear. But for those who tell them, the experience is undeniable. They saw her, they heard her, and the memory follows them, as real as any scar. This is the danger of urban legends. They blur the line between fiction and reality. They leave people questioning what they truly saw, what they truly heard. And when doubt itself becomes fear, the legend no longer needs proof to exist. Imagine walking home tonight. The street is empty, the lamps flicker. A woman stands ahead, still as stone, face hidden. She tilts her head. The world holds its breath. And softly, from behind the mask, comes the question, am I beautiful? What will you say? If you answer yes, she reveals the truth. If you answer no, she punishes your honesty. If you hesitate, you are already lost. The slit-mouthed woman does not ask for truth. She asks for fear, and she always receives it. It is said there are ways to survive. Give her candy, confuse her with vague answers, or distract her with sudden questions of your own. But none of these tricks are guaranteed. They are desperate attempts to resist the inevitable, and perhaps that is why she endures. Legends that cannot be defeated are legends that persist. The slit-mouthed woman does not need victory. She only needs survival, and survival comes easily when fear itself is her greatest weapon. So she waits, as she always has, on quiet streets and in crowded stations. She waits in shadows, in reflections, in dreams, and when the moment is right, she will ask again, softly, almost kindly, "Am I beautiful?" In that moment, the centuries collapse. You are no longer in the modern world. You are standing in the heart of a legend, face to face with fear. And whether you live or die depends on words you cannot truly control. The slit-mouthed woman has no need for proof, no need for believers. She has only her question, her smile, and the silence that follows. And somewhere in that silence, you hear the sound of scissors, sharp and waiting in the dark. Even in modern cities, the slit-mouthed woman adapts. Surveillance cameras, busy streets, crowds, these are no obstacles. She blends into the chaos, unnoticed until it is too late. Her mask concealing the horror beneath, waiting for the perfect moment. Teenagers tell stories online, daring each other to visit dark alleys or abandoned schools. The thrill of fear keeps the legend alive. They laugh at their own nervous whispers, but when alone at night, they remember the mask and the question. Psychologists have studied this phenomenon. Urban legends like Kucha Sakana are not just entertainments, they are collective experiences. Fear becomes a shared language, connecting generations through terror, memory, and the unanswerable question. Even adults find themselves uneasy. A person walking late after work might glance over a shoulder at a masked figure, suddenly aware of their vulnerability. The legend, though centuries old, continues to shape human behavior and anxiety. In rural areas, the story persists with ritual and superstition. Elders warn children not to wander alone. Talismans, small bells, and charms are carried in square bags, not for protection from accidents, but to ward off a figure who embodies fear itself. Travelers tell tales of seeing her at train stations, often late at night. She remains still, her eyes hidden beneath her hair, mask concealing her face. Only when you are close does she speak, asking the question that has haunted generations. Am I beautiful? The words are simple, but the weight is immense. For those who hear them, the mind races, unable to escape the implication. Answer wrongly, or with hesitation, and the legend says, you will suffer consequences beyond imagination. Sometimes, eyewitnesses report seeing her vanish suddenly, leaving no trace. Other times, she is gone, yet the sense of presence lingers, scissors echoing in memory, a shadow lingering in peripheral vision. The mind cannot forget what the eyes perceived. The legend of Kucha Sakana is also a reflection of societal values. Beauty, punishment, and appearance are central. Her question forces a confrontation with personal and cultural insecurities, revealing the fragile boundaries between kindness, honesty, and fear. In the 1980s and 1990s, panic often spread in schools. Reports of sightings, sometimes by groups of children, caused parents to keep their children home. Teachers struggled to calm frightened students, while police investigated elusive figures that may or may not have existed. Some theorize she is not one woman, but many. Individuals inspired or possessed by the legend act out her role, perpetuating the terror. Masks, coats, scissor stools, simple enough for anyone to adopt, making her presence unpredictable and omnipresent. The internet era intensified this. Forums, videos, and viral posts kept her image alive. Photos of masked figures circulated, often blurry, often ambiguous. Yet every image was enough to rekindle fear, as viewers projected the legend onto reality. Online communities debated survival tactics. Some claimed that candy or vagueness in answers might save a person. Others warned against looking her directly in the eyes. The legend became interactive, a game of fear and survival, blurring myth and instruction. Despite these adaptations, the core terror never changes. A question with no safe answer. A mask hiding a mutilated smile. The inevitable confrontation with something that cannot be fully understood, yet must be faced. Folklorists note that her endurance is remarkable. Unlike tales that fade, she adapts, absorbing each generation's fears. Her legend grows stronger with belief, spreading across continents, from Japan to South Korea, China, and beyond. In South Korea, she is known as the Red Mask, haunting school corridors and alleys. In China, she stalks quiet parks. Everywhere, she maintains her identity, masked, carrying scissors, asking the question that tests courage and honesty alike. Modern accounts include late-night commuters, taxi drivers, and pedestrians. Many report fleeting glimpses, moments when the mask is lifted to reveal the torn mouth. Even when nothing physically happens, the psychological effect is profound. Fear becomes reality. This is the power of urban legends. They exploit imagination and expectation, creating real fear without physical presence. Kuchizakana survives because she occupies the mind, becomes part of memory, and thrives in the gap between sight and belief. Consider the commuter in Tokyo, late at night, platform empty. A masked figure approached. "Am I beautiful?" Her voice was soft, yet commanding. He answered yes. Slowly, she lowered her mask, revealing a smile carved from ear to ear. He ran, shaken, forever changed. Skeptics dismiss such accounts, citing sleep deprivation, shadows, or imagination. But for the witnesses, the experience is vivid and enduring. Their memories sustain the legend, ensuring that it is never truly forgotten. In some rural villages, elders continue to warn children. "Do not wander alone after dark," they say. The slit-mouthed woman watches, always waiting, always asking. These words are taken seriously, for fear is the teacher, and she is the lesson. Parents recall the panic of the 1970s and 1980s, when reports of her sightings caused schools to shorten hours and police to investigate every shadow. Even now, the stories are repeated, ensuring that the memory and the fear travelers recount encounters at train stations, deserted streets, and quiet parks. Often, she is silent, standing still, masked. Only when you approach or look at her does she speak, her question slicing through the night. "Am I beautiful?" Answer incorrectly, hesitate, or even speak the truth too plainly, and legend says she will attack. Her scissors, her smile, her question, these are constant. The method of survival is uncertain, and every encounter reinforces the terror. The internet has amplified her reach. Online forums collect sightings, debates, and survival tips. Video clips, blurry and mysterious, circulate widely. Even without physical proof, the fear spreads, and each viewer becomes part of the legend. Children dare each other to walk alone at night, to see her silhouette beneath street lamps. The thrill of fear perpetuates the story. Even in daylight, the shadow of her mask lingers in memory, a reminder that legends never fully die. Urban legends like Kuchisakana persist because they adapt. She has evolved with society, moving from remote shrines to crowded urban streets. The essence remains: a mask, a question, a terrible smile, and the uncertainty of survival. In modern Japan, adults recall childhood fears with a shiver. They laugh nervously, telling stories of fleeting glimpses or imagined encounters. Yet, when alone at night, they are reminded that fear is never fully gone. Some claim the legend has crossed international borders. South Korea's red mask and China's silent figure in the parks reflect cultural variations, yet retain the same terror. A masked woman, scissors in hand, asking the fatal question, persists across cultures. Every account, every retelling, reinforces her presence. Eyewitnesses describe fleeting glimpses, strange sounds, shadows that move against logic. The mind cannot dismiss these experiences, and the legend grows stronger with each story shared. Children in playgrounds whisper of her, daring each other to test the legend. Adults recall encounters, often subtle glances from a masked stranger, a shadow passing by an empty street. These moments are enough to remind us of her enduring presence. Psychologists suggest that such legends tap into deep-seated fears of strangers, deception, and the unknown. Kuchisakana embodies these anxieties, her mask concealing more than her face. She is fear made tangible, yet always elusive. She is also a mirror. Her question forces reflection. Are we truthful? Are we kind? Do we answer wisely or blindly? In answering, we confront ourselves, and the legend ensures that fear of judgment accompanies fear of harm. Modern encounters, whether real or imagined, sustain the story. Commuters, late-night pedestrians, and children alike share experiences online, creating a living archive of terror. Each report, each image, strengthens her legend. She thrives in anticipation, in the spaces between reality and imagination. Even when not seen, the possibility of her appearance haunts minds, influencing behavior, shaping fears, and embedding the legend into daily life. To understand Kuchisakana is to understand the nature of fear itself. She is adaptable, timeless, and relentless. She exists wherever belief sustains her, and as long as fear is felt, she is alive, walking silently behind us. Some attempt to rationalize and counter shadows, illusions, or coincidences. Yet the consistency of accounts, the shared elements of the mask, the scissors, and the fatal question, suggest that something beyond ordinary experience persists. Folklorists note that urban legends survive because they evolve with the audience. Children, teenagers, adults all adapt the story, retell it, and ensure its persistence. Kuchisakana continues to haunt because she is retold in forms suitable to each generation. Even digital media has not weakened her influence. Online videos, forums, and stories allow the legend to reach new audiences instantaneously. She is no longer confined to Japan. She moves globally, carried by the fear that transcends language and culture. The slit-mouthed woman is the embodiment of universal fear, the hidden threat, the unpredictable danger, the question with no safe answer. In this, she transcends time, culture, and even reality, becoming a true icon of horror. To encounter her is to confront uncertainty. To hear her question is to feel the weight of mortality, judgment, and instinct. Each encounter, whether real or imagined, reinforces her presence and ensures that her legend will endure indefinitely. And so, she waits, in empty streets, at train stations, behind masks, in reflections, and in shadows. The scissors gleam, the smile stretches, the question hangs, and in the silence that follows, the world holds its breath, aware of her unending vigilance. Legends like Kuchisakana endure because they are interactive. Each person who hears her story participates in it. Fear becomes a shared experience, transmitted across generations, each retelling sharpening her image and strengthening her presence. Witnesses often describe a sense of anticipation, a growing unease as they approach her. The question, simple yet horrifying, comes like a knife through the air. Am I beautiful? It is a question that demands instinctual judgment, with consequences beyond comprehension. Some claim that she can appear anywhere, at any time. A quiet street, a playground, an empty office. Her silence is her weapon. Her approach is subtle, almost unnoticed, until the moment she asks the question that determines fate. Those who answer incorrectly, or even pause, are set to suffer. The legend varies, but each version shares a common thread. Hesitation is dangerous. Honesty can be fatal, and fear is the currency she collects to remain alive. In modern urban environments, she thrives amidst anonymity. Masked commuters, crowded streets, late-night shifts all provide the perfect camouflage. She exists wherever attention falters, and in that gap, she strikes, unseen and unstoppable. Digital media has expanded her reach. Videos, images, and discussions on forums circulate globally. Each retelling ensures that she is not confined to folklore. She is alive in memory, imagination, and the subconscious fears of millions. Every culture she touches reshapes her slightly, yet the essence remains intact. Masked, scissors in hand, question asked, terror guaranteed. She is adaptable, enduring, and terrifyingly consistent, a nightmare tailored to human psychology. Parents continue to caution children, teachers continue to warn students, and urban legends continue to evolve. Each warning, each story shared, adds a layer of reality to her myth, blurring the line between imagination and existence. For children, the fear is visceral. Playgrounds, alleys, and quiet streets become arenas of potential terror. Even familiar routes, home at night, can inspire panic. For the legend teaches that she can appear anywhere, at any moment, unseen until it is too late. Adults, too, recall the stories of their youth. The nervous laughter, the whispered tales, the occasional encounter. Even when dismissed, the memory lingers. She has imprinted herself on collective consciousness, becoming more than legend, more than myth. Some researchers argue that fear itself sustains her. The more people believe, the stronger the legend becomes. Each retelling, each imagined encounter, each shadow perceived as her presence ensures she continues to exist, at least in the mind. In this way, the slit-mouthed woman survives centuries. Not through immortality, not through haunting graves, but through memory, narrative, and shared terror. She is the perfect urban legend, adaptive, frightening, and impossible to ignore. Even now, reports surface. A commuter glimpses a masked figure at a subway station. A child sees a shadow outside a school gate. Each account rekindles fear, proving that she is not confined to the past, but walks alongside the present. In quiet moments, when attention falters and the mind wanders, her presence is felt. A shadow in the periphery, a sound like scissors in the night, a fleeting glimpse of her eyes beneath a mask. She exists wherever belief allows her to, and fear fuels her survival. Legends like hers endure because they are adaptable. She has moved from remote villages to bustling cities, from whispered schoolyard stories to global digital media. Her power lies not in her physicality, but in her ability to invoke terror wherever she is remembered. Some believe she is a single entity, others think she is many. Perhaps she is both. Individuals inspired by the legend act as extensions of her, perpetuating fear, ensuring that the question is asked, and that horror is never far behind. Every encounter, whether imagined or real, strengthens her myth. The question persists, am I beautiful? Each answer, hesitation, or misstep adds weight to the legend, reinforcing the power she wields through belief, fear, and memory. And so she waits, everywhere and nowhere, silent until the perfect moment. A shadow in the corner of your eye, a reflection in glass, a masked figure standing quietly on a street you thought empty. She is patient, relentless, and eternal in the minds of those who fear her. The slit-mouthed woman reminds us that fear is timeless, that terror does not need physical proof, that legends live through the mind, through memory, and through the shared experience of generations who dare not forget. And as night falls, when streets are empty and shadows stretch long, the question lingers. The scissors glint faintly, the mask conceals what is beneath, and the silence before she speaks is heavier than any sound. Am I beautiful? The question is eternal, asked by a figure who walks between myth and reality. The answer may not matter, for the legend ensures that fear itself is enough to sustain her, and in that fear, she survives. Tonight, as you close your eyes, imagine the quiet streets, the empty park, the dimly lit alley. Somewhere, she waits, masked, silent, waiting to ask the question that tests courage, honesty, and instinct. And somewhere, you hope it is only a story. But urban legends, like the slit-mouthed woman, are never just stories. They exist in memory, in whispers, and in the spaces between what we know and what we fear. She has survived centuries, and she will endure as long as fear itself persists. As the night deepens, shadows lengthen, and empty streets seem to breathe, the legend asserts itself. The slit-mouthed woman is no longer just a story from textbooks or folklore. She is a living, evolving presence that thrives in anticipation and memory. In Tokyo, Osaka, rural villages, or even distant countries, people report glimpses, masked figures standing still, shadows that linger, sudden chills in empty spaces. Though many dismiss these accounts, the consistency of details is remarkable. Masks, scissors, question, and smile. She survives because belief gives her life. Each story shared online, each whispered warning, each nervous glance behind a shoulder ensures that she continues to exist in the minds of children, teens, and adults alike. Even skeptics cannot deny the pattern. Sightings span decades and regions, maintaining core elements of the original legend. Whether she is one woman, many, or merely a projection of fear, the result is the same: terror that persists and spreads. Children tell tales of seeing her in alleys, playgrounds, and streets near schools. Teenagers dare one another to walk alone at night. Adults recall faint glimpses from decades past. In all cases, the fear remains, vivid and unforgettable. The scissors she carries are not just tools, they are symbols of the inescapable danger that comes from hesitation or wrong answers. The mask conceals what is beneath, leaving the imagination to conjure horror, while the question demands instinctive judgment. Am I beautiful? It is deceptively simple, yet the simplicity amplifies fear, forcing confrontation with personal insecurities, judgment, and moral choices. Answer too quickly, too honestly, or too cautiously, and legend says you may suffer. In modern times, she is as much a psychological phenomenon as a supernatural one. Fear spreads via digital media, through forums, videos, and social media, ensuring that even those who never see her can experience her presence. Urban planners and city dwellers may walk obliviously past each other, unaware that fear of the unknown is part of daily life. Her legend adapts seamlessly to crowded streets, bright lights, and the constant movement of modern society. Some claim that she feeds on anticipation. Every step taken in hesitation, every glance over a shoulder, every pause in a conversation builds the power that sustains her. She is fear incarnate, invisible yet profoundly felt. Adults remember the tales of their youth. Even with rational understanding, the memory of fear remains. The mask, the smile, the question, they linger, ensuring that the legend is transmitted, not just through words, but through emotion. In schools, playgrounds, and classrooms, the story is retold. It becomes a rite of passage, a shared experience that bridges generations. Children dare one another, test courage, and learn that the legend is more than myth. It is a lesson in vigilance and instinct. In rural areas, elders still warn their children, teaching survival skills against a figure that may never appear, yet exists in mind and imagination. Fear here is a protective tool, ensuring children remain cautious, aware, and respectful of the unknown. Psychologists analyze the slit-mouthed woman as an expression of societal anxieties. She reflects hidden threats, concealed intentions, and the unpredictability of life. Her question, her smile, her mask, each element resonates with universal fears. Even outside Japan, the legend resonates. South Korea's red mask, China's silent figure, and variations worldwide show that the core terror masked, armed, asking the fatal question, transcends cultural boundaries, proving the universality of fear. Her adaptability is her survival. The legend morphs to suit each era: ancient villages, post-war towns, bustling cities, and online communities. Each version maintains the essential elements, ensuring that the question and threat remain intact. Fear sustains her. The more people worry, whisper, or imagine, the stronger the legend becomes. Belief is her lifeblood. Hesitation and doubt are her allies. She is eternal in the space between sight and imagination, thriving in collective consciousness. The legend teaches survival, morality, and perception. Children learn caution. Adults remember vigilance. Communities share stories. Even those who dismiss her acknowledge the psychological imprint she leaves behind. Encounters are rarely fatal, yet the fear is lasting. A glance, a fleeting shadow, a whispered question, these are enough to etch the legend permanently in memory. She survives not by physical force, but by sustaining terror and uncertainty. Even skeptics, confronted with the consistency of sightings and reports, must admit that the slit-mouthed woman has a presence. Whether supernatural or psychological, she remains an unavoidable part of cultural consciousness, feared and remembered. The scissors symbolize inevitability. The mask symbolizes deception. The question symbolizes judgment. And together, these elements create a narrative that transcends mere story. She is a living, evolving, cautionary tale, tested by time and belief. As long as people fear, she persists. She thrives on attention, imagination, and the gaps between reality and possibility. Every whisper, every retelling, every nervous glance ensures her continuity, making her both timeless and immediate. Tonight, as you sit quietly or walk alone, consider the spaces around you. Shadows may stretch in unexpected ways. A masked figure could exist nearby. Listen for the faint sound of scissors, the question lingering on the wind. Am I beautiful? It is a question that endures. It is a question that transcends generations, cultures, and realities. Answering or failing to answer becomes an exercise in fear, morality, and instinct, leaving an imprint on all who hear it. The legend has survived centuries, evolving with society. She is no longer bound to a single form or place. She adapts, she spreads, and she thrives wherever fear exists, demonstrating the enduring power of narrative and imagination. And so, the slit-mouthed woman waits. In alleys, at stations, in quiet streets, behind masks, and in reflections. Her question echoes endlessly. Her smile remains hidden beneath the mask, and the scissors glint faintly in anticipation of those who hesitate. Even when the streets are crowded, even when lights are bright, the slit-mouthed woman remains. She is patience incarnate, waiting for that moment of distraction, hesitation, or doubt, the precise moment when fear can take form and the legend comes alive. For those who have never seen her, she exists in stories, shadows, and warnings. For those who have, She exists as memory and terror. The legend ensures that all who hear the story remain alert, cautious, and aware of the unseen threat that walks beside them. As digital communication continues to connect the world, her legend spreads further. Videos, forums, and social media posts allow her to exist globally, reaching new generations and proving that fear, imagination, and belief are universal. She has become more than a tale. She is a cultural artifact, a psychological phenomenon, and a persistent ghost in the collective mind. Her mask, her scissors, and her question endure, binding past, present, and future with fear. And so, wherever you are tonight, walking, sitting, or alone in a quiet room, remember, the slit-mouthed woman exists as long as belief persists. Her question waits, timeless, and the shadow of her mask lingers just beyond the edge of vision. She waits in silence, unseen yet felt. Every shadow, every corner, every reflective surface could harbor her presence. The mask hides what cannot be faced, while her question challenges instinct, morality, and courage all at once. Urban legends rarely endure as she does. She thrives because she evolves with her audience, adapting to changing environments, technologies, and cultural norms. Fear is her medium, and imagination her most faithful ally. Each encounter real, imagined, or retold reinforces her existence. Stories of fleeting glimpses, shadows in empty streets, and sudden chills continue to circulate, ensuring that she remains alive in the collective consciousness. Even in the age of rationality and scientific understanding, she persists. Psychological studies suggest that human fear is easily triggered by uncertainty, and the slit-mouthed woman embodies that uncertainty perfectly. Her question, simple yet loaded, forces a confrontation with self, perception, honesty, and the unknown. Am I beautiful? Resonates far beyond the literal interpretation, evoking primal fears and moral dilemmas across cultures. In schools, parents continue to warn children. Teachers repeat stories, sometimes with cautionary intent, sometimes for thrill. Communities across countries adopt variations, showing that the core of the legend is universal, transcending language and geography. Observers often report that she appears more frequently where fear is actively imagined. Vacant streets, empty parks, late-night stations all provide fertile ground. The anticipation alone can make ordinary spaces feel charged with potential terror. The mask, the scissors, the question, these elements remain consistent despite cultural adaptations. She is recognizable everywhere. Japan, South Korea, China, and beyond. The legend proves that fear is a global currency, transferable and enduring. Even in digital spaces, her influence is felt. Blurred photos, forum stories, and viral videos perpetuate the terror. Every new viewer becomes part of the narrative, contributing to her survival by acknowledging her existence even virtually. Witnesses speak of sudden chills, glimpses of movement, and a creeping sense of unease. Even those who never see her physically experience her presence psychologically, proving that the legend thrives equally in mind and environment. Fear itself sustains her. Each whisper, each nervous glance, each urban legend retold is a lifeline. She is immortal through belief, echoing the ancient principle that myths survive because they are emotionally and socially reinforced. Children dare one another, teenagers test courage, adults recall encounters, all unwittingly feeding her existence. The legend teaches vigilance, resilience, and the consequences of hesitation, embedding her story deeply into human experience. She is adaptable, patient, and relentless. Urban streets, rural alleys, school corridors, and online communities all serve as theaters for her presence. She exists wherever human fear is anticipated or imagined. The question remains the same, timeless and terrifying. Am I beautiful? It is not merely about appearance. It is a test, a confrontation with instinct and morality. Hesitation, misjudgment, or panic can have consequences, real or imagined. Legends like hers are a mirror to society. They reveal insecurities, teach caution, and perpetuate a shared narrative of fear. She is a cultural and psychological artifact, transcending generations, geography, and even logic. Every reported encounter strengthens her legend. Each story told around a campfire, posted online, or whispered in classrooms ensures that she is never forgotten. Memory itself becomes a conduit, sustaining her in perpetuity. Even those who dismiss her admit a lingering unease when streets are empty. Shadows move strangely, or reflections catch a fleeting shape. The slit-mouthed woman operates between perception and imagination, making every observer a participant. Her survival depends not on physical power but psychological influence. Fear, attention, and belief are her tools. Each person who imagines her, even briefly, perpetuates the legend and ensures her continuity. She has evolved with society, adapting to cultural and technological changes. From whispered rural tales to viral internet content, she remains recognizable and terrifying, showing the resilience of human imagination when fueled by fear. No matter the medium, she maintains her core elements: mask, scissors, question. These symbols evoke primal anxiety, ensuring that even without physical evidence, her legend persists, shaping behavior, emotion, and storytelling globally. Every generation retells her story, each with subtle adaptations. Children, teenagers, and adults all become storytellers and witnesses, reinforcing her presence and teaching lessons about caution, honesty, and instinctive judgment. Her adaptability ensures that she never truly dies. The slit-mouthed woman exists wherever fear can be imagined, in streets, schools, or digital spaces. Belief and anticipation are her lifeblood, making her immortal across time and culture. And as night falls, empty streets become her stage. Reflections, shadows, and moments of hesitation provide the perfect conditions. The question, the mask, the scissors, everything aligns to remind humanity that fear is timeless. Even when ignored, she persists. Silent, patient, and pervasive, her legend continues to influence thoughts, behavior, and imagination. Awareness of her existence is enough to trigger the primal fear she represents. Her story proves that urban legends can be more than entertainment. They are social and psychological instruments, shaping perception and teaching caution, survival, and moral discernment through fear and anticipation. She will continue to exist wherever humans tell stories, share experiences, or imagine fear. Masked, silent, scissors in hand, she asks her eternal question, reminding each generation of the delicate line between safety, choice, and terror. Tonight, as you close your eyes or walk alone, remember, the slit-mouthed woman may be closer than you think. The question lingers, shadows move, and imagination becomes reality. Fear itself is her domain, and she rules it with patience and precision. Even centuries from now, she will persist. Tales will continue to evolve, adapt, and spread across the world. She survives not through power, but through the enduring nature of belief, imagination, and collective fear. Legends like hers remind us that terror can be timeless, education through fear is universal, and memory alone can sustain a presence. Masked, silent, and unrelenting, the slit-mouthed woman continues her eternal watch. She exists between reality and imagination, a reminder that fear can take form in the mind even when absent in the world. Every retelling, every shadow noticed, and every nervous glance ensures she continues to thrive in the human psyche. Even those who dismiss her story feel the tension when alone at night. The mind supplies the rest, a fleeting shadow, the glint of scissors, the suggestion of a mask. The legend lives in perception, sustained by anticipation and fear. She is timeless. Her question, "Am I beautiful?" echoes across generations. The simplicity of the inquiry belies the complexity of its consequences. Fear, morality, and instinct converge in a single moment of decision, preserved by legend. Urban or rural, modern or historical, she remains. She transcends physical space and societal changes, reminding us that human imagination, combined with fear, can give life to entities that survive through narrative alone. Her story is shared, adapted, and believed across cultures. Each adaptation reinforces her essence. Mask, scissors, question. She exists wherever these elements are recognized, demonstrating the universal power of fear and myth. In digital spaces, she finds new life. Videos, forums, and online discussions allow her presence to reach global audiences instantly. Every viewer unknowingly contributes to the perpetuation of her terror, ensuring that she is never forgotten. Even as society modernizes, fear remains constant. The slit-mouthed woman exemplifies how legends persist by tapping into fundamental human anxieties: the unknown, deception, moral choice, and the consequences of hesitation. Children, teenagers, and adults all interact with her legend, whether through storytelling, dare games, or digital media. In doing so, they sustain her presence and reinforce the psychological and cultural significance of the legend. Her survival is a testament to the power of narrative. She does not rely on physical reality, but on shared belief, imagination, and the innate human response to fear. She is a construct that lives because people acknowledge her existence. Even when rationality dominates, she persists. Every shadow, reflection, or unusual sound can be interpreted as her presence. The uncertainty keeps the legend alive, ensuring that each generation encounters her in some form. She embodies timeless lessons: vigilance, caution, moral judgment, and the consequences of hesitation. Through these, the legend transcends mere fear, becoming an instrument for teaching and maintaining cultural memory. The mask and scissors are symbols of concealment and potential harm. The question is a test. Together, they create a legend that is adaptive, enduring, and psychologically potent, a horror icon that persists across centuries. Tonight, as you navigate quiet streets or dimly lit corridors, remember her presence lingers, not always seen, never fully understood, but felt in anticipation, shadow, and memory. She exists wherever fear is imagined and belief is present. She has survived centuries of retelling and adaptation. From rural folklore to global digital media, her legend demonstrates the enduring power of fear and storytelling. Every eye that sees, every mind that imagines, sustains her existence. Even in bright daylight, her influence persists. Memories, stories, and warnings shape behavior, reminding all who hear her story to be cautious, observant, and respectful of the unknown. Fear ensures her immortality. The slit-mouthed woman waits silently, patiently, unrelenting, masked, armed with scissors, asking her eternal question. She exists in shadows, reflections, and the imagination of all who dare to remember her legend. She transcends location, culture, and time. From ancient villages to modern cities, from whispered tales to viral content, she continues to evoke terror. Belief and anticipation are enough to give her life, and humanity obliges. Every generation interacts with her legend, unknowingly perpetuating her existence. The question, the mask, The scissors, they remain constant. Fear, belief, and imagination are the threads that bind her to the human consciousness. In quiet moments, when the mind wanders, or when shadows shift unexpectedly, she is present. The imagination fills gaps left by sight, creating encounters that feel real. In this way, the legend maintains its power and relevance. She is the embodiment of universal fear, hidden threats, deception, unpredictability, and moral choices. Her question tests humanity, and the legend ensures that every retelling, imagined encounter, and memory sustains her immortality. Tonight, as you close your eyes, recall the empty streets, the dim lights, the fleeting shadows. Somewhere, she waits, masked, silent, her scissors ready, question poised. Fear itself is her companion, and humanity provides her life. Even centuries from now, her presence will endure. Stories will continue to evolve, adapt, and spread. She survives through imagination, belief, and the shared experience of fear, proving that legends are eternal when sustained by the human mind. She exists because we remember. She thrives because we fear. And she endures because storytelling and imagination never fail. The slit-mouthed woman is timeless, relentless, and alive wherever her legend is believed. And so, the story concludes, but not really. She remains in shadows, reflections, and imagination. The scissors glint, the mask conceals, the question lingers. Fear persists, and with it, she persists, eternal, silent, and unyielding. Remember her presence tonight and always. Masked, silent, and asking her eternal question, the slit-mouthed woman continues her endless vigil, surviving not through action, but through the enduring power of fear, belief, and human imagination.